Hello, Saints, and welcome to Sound Biblical Doctrine. Today's video is going to be about this chart here, the 2025 timeline. Okay, so before I get into this, I'm just going to give you a quick recap on how I arrived at this chart, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, so what happened was I did this video on 2028, and when I was kind of compiling it in the early stages of putting it all together, I emailed Gabriel Erb at 2028end and 2028end.com, and I told him what I'd found. I'd said I'd watched your video. I was praying to the Lord for confirmation in His Word that He would return in 2028, and I showed him, the technique that the Lord, since He directed me to put chapter 20, verse 28 in, and count them all up and kind of see what the message is. So I emailed this to Gabriel, and he wrote back to me, and he said that another woman had been in touch with him, and she had said that she'd done something kind of similar. This was before I'd been in touch with him, but what she had done was she was reading through the Psalms, and she had noticed that I think she began at Psalm 23 just in her readings, and then she went to Psalm 25, and then to 28, and then she noticed that as she was going up the Psalms, things were getting worse and worse and worse, and then in Psalm 29, it was like a really good psalm, like good things had happened, and that caused her to look back through, beginning at the tribulation, which would be Psalm 21, and look through them all and just kind of see what the message was. So after Gabriel emailed this back to me, the thought came to me to do the same as what I had done, which was chapter 20, verses 28, but this time change the verse. So change the verse so it would fit all the tribulation years. So that would be 27, 26, 25, etc., all the way through to 21. And also checked out 29. And praise the Lord, this is like an awesome Bible code because it completely fits with the timeline. So I felt conviction from God to study these, and the one that I feel the most conviction to study or to do the next study on is this one, which is 2025. So in a nutshell, this is what I have here. And this video is not going to be a complete explanation of this. This is just a kind of recap, an overview video of the findings. And then if you're more interested, you can see the next videos where I'm going to expound on it, because there is loads and loads and loads of scriptures. And it's like, I don't know, just maybe quite overwhelming to just take it all in one video. So I'll probably break that down into different parts and then work through and explain it and take it from there. Okay, so I have the 2025, there's 15 of these verses, and then what I've done is I've added my notes to them. I've tried to make it like that. I'm going to redo the 2028 video. I'm going to make it much more thorough, much more complete. I really felt conviction from God to get that video out at that time, but since then, it's when God establishes something with you, He continues to build and build and build upon it. And what I felt conviction from to do in this video is to add in loads and loads of scriptures, or to study and add in as many scriptures I could see that were related, especially in the books of Revelation and in Daniel, and see if they can help build up a picture of what's going to happen in the year 2025. So this is what I arrived at here, is a chart showing what is going to happen in the year 2025. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick run through on this, and then, like I said, I'm going to then do a much more extensive study where we're going to look more at the individual verses and see how we're arriving at these conclusions. But I just wanted to make a quick overview video so you can see a kind of like a mini preview of what the other series will be about. Okay, so quite simple. We have, along this horizontal line here, we have numbers 1 to 15, and they represent the 1 to 15 verses that are 2025. Okay, so what was found in the first verse was this was the fifth seal being opened and the second thunder. And I've done some more studying on the thunders, and the thunders are warnings. They are warnings from God, thunderings out of the heavens to the people on the earth about what is going to happen. So they're a major warning that everybody knows about. So going on to the thunder in verse 1 is warning about the abomination of desolation which is to occur. And then that praise the Lord, that ties in exactly to what verse 2 is talking about, which is the abomination of desolation. That leads us to verse 3, and in verse 3 a lot is happening. We have people fleeing to the mountains, we have those given wings of an eagle to escape into the wilderness, we have the first, second, third and fourth trumpets, we have the third thunder, which is a warning about Satan and his angels about to be cast out of heaven, because during this third verse, this is when the war in heaven is going on. And then in verse 4, we have the fifth trumpet and the first woe, and this is Satan being cast out of heaven with his angels and the bottomless pit being opened. Then in verse 5, we have people being led into or going into captivity, and we have these locusts with the sting of a scorpion being released from the pit and tormenting men for 5 months. Then in verse 6 we have God contending for the righteous. Verse 7 we have Satan making war on the saints, and we have the fourth thunder. And the fourth thunder is warning us that Babylon, the Catholic Church, is about to fall. And we also know that we're going to be under attack. Then verse 8, we have the two witnesses being killed, and I've put an asterisk next to that. I'll explain that in a second. We have the whore of Babylon falling. We have people exchanging gifts because the two witnesses are being killed. And we have people offering up treasures to Satan, and that is in Daniel. We see that the Antichrist offers treasures to Satan. We also see that apparently people who are stealing things are also offering up treasures unto Satan. So with regards to this asterisk being next to the two witnesses being killed, I recently saw a video by a YouTube channel, AOC Network, and they have an amazing video on the two witnesses. And in that video they expound on who the two witnesses are and the role they will have in the tribulation period. And it's the reason I have this asterisk is because it's not just as simple as two people being killed. Okay, so but watch that video. It's an awesome video. It'll be really good for your faith. And yeah, that's point 8. So then verse 9, this is when the Antichrist gets the deadly wound to the head. Verse 10, this is the fifth thunder, and this is like a major warning, because now we have the warning is essentially telling us not to worship the beast, not to worship his image, and not to take the mark of the beast. And then what we have in verses 11 to 13 is all those three things coming to fruition. So we have in verse 11 the strong delusion, the lying signs and wonders, and this is when the false prophet does miracles and causes people to wonder after the beast who had his deadly wound healed. So like I said, I believe the strong delusion accompanies the lying signs and wonders, and part of that will be the Antichrist getting his deadly wound healed, and this will cause people to worship the beast and his image. And then in verse 12 we have dominion and authority being taken over those who worship the beast and his image. So Satan's a cruel taskmaster. Once these people have worshipped him, now he begins to assert himself over these people, ultimately leading to verse 13, whereby people are forced or caused to take the mark of the beast. So either it's kind of going to be like one of three: you're unsaved and you take the mark, 2, you're saved and you don't take the mark and you get your head chopped off, or 3, you're saved and you're in a place in the wilderness. And then we have verse 14, where some of Israel still do not believe in Jesus. So despite all that's going on, there are these people of Israel that are saved and in the wilderness, and they still will not believe Jesus Christ until they see him. And then in verse 15, we have that the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. This is when the fullness of the Gentiles have come in, and until this point blindness in part has happened to Israel. But from this point onwards, God is now going to focus on Israel. We'll still be here on the earth, we're not getting raptured out of here, but God's primary focus is going to be on Israel. And the Gentiles, like I said, they'll either be in one of two places now, because either they've had their head chopped off or they're in the wilderness. And those that have not had, the Gentiles that have not had those things done, they are unsaved. They have taken the mark of the beast, and they are now just vessels of wrath. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to make a larger video on this, and I'm going to get into all the notes and make sense of the scriptures and what's written. But like I said, this is just a quick overview. See what you think, pray about it. But all I've been finding is God is continuing to confirm this and add more and more to it. Okay, so I look forward to seeing the next video. God bless.